We just had another dramatic day in the crypto market. News initially was like XRP or Ripple has been hacked. 213 million XRP was gone. But then the news comes out. Okay, it's not Ripple being hacked or the XRP ledger. It's Chris Larson's personal wallet. So if that guy can get hacked, a lot of us should be on that verge. You should care about the safety of your assets. Now, what does this actually mean for the entire market? Because if you do look at a wider perspective, you're watching something even bigger. Banks, commercial banks, regional banks, they're getting hit hard. The drop here, that's literally painful. And we're not talking about a shitcoin. We're talking about a bank. And then you understand the fact that, okay, that's happening on one end, but on the other side, giants in the investment community is trying to open up. And as they open up, you get to see opportunities. If you think something is happening in the market right now, you need to think about it. You need to be serious. Have you seen that before? How did that pan out? Is it just once, or we have seen similar events in the past where the price continued to the upside? But yes, it consolidated 46 days here, 40 days here. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, 990 plus members are taking benefit of all the posts about the crypto market and the positions we are opening while the market gives you that opportunity zone. So if you would like to do that, look at the link. It's in the description below or in the bio on Twitter. Now let's get started. While you look at this, do you think XRP is showing you something which is similar to what we have seen in the past? That's a serious question. There's an easy chart, open chart, but do you think that's happening? Now, what do you think? You are taking in the strength index on a macro for XRP and you're comparing it with the history. Now, before you answer, let me ask you this. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do consider smashing that. Now, back to the matter. While we all understand the fact that the market is volatile, it is flushing retail like crazy all over the board, not just XRP. You're watching the entire market in red, not just XRP. Comparatively, XRP is fine. It's not doing much, right? But on a weekly basis, these others, which are getting hit hard now, is in the green territory. So you get to understand that. Volatility is a part of this journey. It's not going to go anywhere. While we wait for this thing to evolve, we need to have some ideas as well. Yeah, we see this. But if this trend line is to break to the downside, that would not send a positive vibe. But as of now, this is where you are. Historically speaking, you're trying to close the MACD to the downside. You're watching that the strength is slowly collapsing towards the trend line. You're getting all of that happening. We're watching them. That's literally happening in front of us. Price is dropping like this. Fine. That means last time you went below the moving average and hit the trend line, you started bouncing back up. And I'm confused this time. Being honest, I'm like, okay, the way you drop this trend line, the easiest part, reduce the noise, go on to a macro horizon, you try to connect this, and you're like, okay, fine. If this is what you're talking about, that's a macro trend line. The moving average and the trend line matches this time. Last time, no, it didn't. So you had much more room. So that should actually show you the fact that there should be a divergence. So last time, yes, the price made a lower low. RSI did exactly the same. Here, right now in front of us, RSI is already making a low, but the price is just at that point. It is not making a lower low. So I'm like, okay, fine. That is showing us a divergence, which is positive. Fine. But how many of us would be willing to look at this on a different front as well? We had the double bottom here. We went up. We came back to retest that zone. It also happens to be like this trend line. Fine. Now you have another double bottom here, which is a retest of 0.45. Are we going to see that? We're right now at 0.5. A 10% drop would push us down to 0.45. So retail is going to be panicked if they care a lot about the short-term price action. This is XRP, nothing else. But you do understand the fact that when you go on a 3-day chart in XRP, adding some more noise into the charts, if you actually take the price action, zoom a little bit out, all the way, watch till 2017, 2020, whatever you want. Right? If you want to include all the way back to 2015, fine. But then you go on at this area in the RSI. This is something you need to think about. So this is an area in this asset class where the price was getting overextended to the downside. Overextended, and then the bounce comes in. Whether it's in a trend to the downside or in a trend to the upside. You're watching, the price action is giving you some details, some ideas to follow up. Now, yeah, zoom in, look at the price action, ask all the questions you want to yourself. The bear market bottom, this is important in my humble opinion. The bear market bottom gave us the signal we have a huge divergence, a bullish divergence. The price was going down, the RSI was going up. Now, we are at a higher level. We are not at that particular level for sure. But if you do try to plot a trend line from that bottom, it would look something like this. And that's where I'm like, okay, fine, 0.45 does make a lot of sense in that criteria. But the RSI is already starting to show you the fact that we are not at 0.46, but the strength is way below that. So even more sellers entered the market compared to last time. Bulls are strong. That's not an easy thing to see. But keep this in mind when you actually see these channels. A lot of people start to put the argument like, no, this is to go back to the downside. I'm like, maybe it's true, but let's look at this. Let's look at the trend. What we have seen in the past. You go up a little bit, come back down. Yeah, you do. We have seen those. And when you actually make that local bottom, that's where you start to move back up. Now, that last time was a panic drop. We had a massive drop with the SEC issue. But right now, you don't have that. What you have is a positive sentiment in the market. So if you saw this kind of a structure happening in XRP last time, what if you are watching something like this coming in? I know, yes, people are talking about the thought process of the price going to $100. But if it slows down at 14, 15, 10, people would be disappointed. Even though that asset would do massively fine and the long-term holders are well off, not a lot of people would be happy. That's the reality of the market. But if the price action is to do this, I would argue that the entire market has to do positively. So that's where you look at the Bitcoin. You're looking at Bitcoin. Easy, guys. You're watching similar pattern. You're watching something similar. Around 40 days. Then you went up. 45 days. You went up. Now you can literally zoom out. Okay, that's a trend line. Price is doing up, down motion. And you're like, okay, fine. We have the downside. Before that, we consolidated. So here we started with the downside and we have the consolidation. Then we took off. We came back to retest that trend line. We started going back up. We again came back to retest that same trend line, went back up. But it failed to make a new high. Now where are we? We are literally still watching that. The price action can go and do this. If that's the case, which you're watching in the price action, this is the trend. Okay, you understand. Now it's doing this, but just before that, it did the downside. It looks colorful, but this is the easiest way. It was going to the downside, that just changed its color, went back up, it's still going up. It hasn't changed its direction. Now, if you're like, no, that's a lot of noise for me, forget that. Just look at the trading ranges. You had 42 days of trading range here, you went up. You had 56 days trading range, which along with came in there, you went up. You went into a 224 days of consolidation and then broke through. Huge. Now it's like 56 days of consolidation. Like, fine, we've seen something like this last time. There was a long wick to the moving average. This time, we did not reach the moving average, but we did get a long wick to the downside. Last time, you had a fake out here. We have a fake out in front of us. So there is a lot of things which are rhyming, but we want to make sure, yes, you look at the short-term charts and see what it is showing you, but at the same time, you zoom a little bit out, at least a little bit out, and look at the medium-term structure, or at least what we call as higher time frame structure to that of the short term. What are you really watching here? Do you think this one candle of upside is being completely neglected, erased by 2 daily candles? It's struggling to do that. I mean, think about that for a moment. It is struggling. Now, for that to actually go back down, it should be someone like this. You try to go down, but now you go back up. You get huge resistance that pushes back down. Okay, now you're going into a consolidation. We have seen that before. Right? So as of now, I would still say, okay, the market is volatile, agreed, but this is what we are doing. So if you think the price coming down here is bad, you would be up for a surprise, because the price literally can climb back up. Price will do all of these things just to scare a lot of people. Remember, the dollar earlier today went down a long way to the downside and then bounced back up immediately. Seriously, if that's breaking to the upside, this is what we are watching. So literally, your stock markets should reflect that. Watch this. This is Dow Jones. This is NASDAQ. So you're actually getting that perspective, but it's all on a shorter horizon. When you zoom a little bit out, you kind of get to see, okay, we have seen this before. We are looking at this. We are at an all-time highs. Think about that for a moment. Now, the question is, whenever you have seen a reversal, you were at an all-time highs. Right? That's something to keep in mind. So each and every time you went down, you were at an all-time highs and then slowly grinded back down. But the price actually showed you massive slowdown over a long period of time there, over a long period of time here, except for the health crisis. Here was everything going down, boom. That was like one of the craziest drop in the market. So when you're actually watching these markets, looking at different stocks on that longer horizon, like, okay, they're getting saturated. And you should actually look at this and see, where the hell did that come from and where is it still going? So even if we say there is going to be a massive drop in this asset, like 80%, or say you're a little bit optimistic, you say it's 60%, that is still trending to the upside. Even if you say it's going to drop a 60-70%, that is not changing the macro direction of this asset. It would still look like this. That's not bad, right? But you will still have massive drop going the price all the way back to 2015, 2018 ranges. If it's to drop, if it's to go up, it still has some side. It still can do that. So the market is going to remain volatile with what Fed just discussed about the possibility of keeping the rates higher without allowing to give breathing space for the market. For sure, you're going to actually see that. But the decision is kind of getting a little bit more clearer. You're watching the market still hanging on to this range. And just like we discussed about you're now starting to watch something like this in Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, good, great. Can we pull this off? Can we really pull this off? Because if we do pull this off, some liquidations will start happening, because 10-12% move in Bitcoin to the upside from the break here would mean you're talking about all-time highs for this cycle, right? A local high putting close to $50,000. So you zoom out and you ask like, okay, what would that actually mean for any type of price action which you are looking at in the market? Because we have seen something similar. We cannot deny that fact. We have seen something absolutely similar. We have gone back in the past. We have talked about this before. But if you don't remember that, keep this in mind. We had a pattern like this where the price action breached to the downside, then it went back up. That was a surprise. It break the moving average, slows down, then went back up. So right now you're at that stage. You went up, you broke the moving average, you're trying to retest and bounce. So if you get a retest and a bounce here, bears will not be happy. Now, this is the general perspective of where the market is right now. But when you do look at the macro and you're like, okay, we have come this far in this journey, that's a lot of interesting things to absorb. Because the price is literally saying, I'm going down, but the other side saying, no, someone big is accumulating in one way or the other, that is a huge sign or signal for all of us to heed to. So guys, if you received value, smash that like button. And if you'd like to join the SI family, you can reach me through the Patreon. We can do the one-on-one session, go through your portfolios, discuss through what can be done to better position yourself for this market cycle. That's it for today, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.